I didn't wake up that morning thinking I'd save someone's life. I was just grabbing coffee, minding my business. But one moment, one decision changed everything. I gave CPR to a stranger in the street, and today, that stranger is the billionaire who fell in love with me. If you believe that kindness always finds its way back, then stay with me. This story isn't just about love. It's about how one selfless act opened a door I never saw coming. Like, share, and hit subscribe if you believe in unexpected blessings too. Now, let me take you back to that day. I'm not special. I mean, I'm just a regular black girl trying to make it. Nothing fancy about me. I wasn't raised with silver spoons or trust funds, just love, faith, and a whole lot of strength. I've always believed in working hard and being kind, even if the world doesn't always notice either one. Most days, I wake up before the sun, put on my uniform, and catch the bus to work. Same job, same routine, same tired feet by the end of the day. I live in a small apartment. Nothing luxurious, but it's mine. Rent's always due. Bills don't care if you're exhausted, and sometimes dinner is just ramen and whatever's left in the fridge. But I get by. I've never been the type of girl to chase fame or fortune. That stuff always felt like it belonged to somebody else. Someone prettier, richer, lighter maybe. I used to look at people in magazines or on TV and wonder what it's like to live like that. But it always felt far away, like a movie I wasn't cast in. Still, one thing I've always held on to is this. When someone needs help, you help. You don't ask for anything in return. My mom taught me that. She used to say, "Baby, God sees what people miss." So I've lived my life that way, quietly, with purpose, even if nobody's clapping. And that's how this whole thing started. Just another day, just me being me. I wasn't looking for love. I definitely wasn't looking for a billionaire. But life has this funny way of flipping the script when you least expect it. And what happened next? Well, even now, it still feels like a dream I haven't fully woken up from. It was just a regular Tuesday. I remember because I was running late for work, again. My shoelace broke. I spilled coffee on my shirt, and the bus driver looked like he wanted to cuss me out for flagging him down last minute. Typical morning chaos. I had just grabbed a fresh cup of coffee from the little corner cafe I go to. I was walking down 4th Street minding my business when I heard someone shout, "Call 911!" My heart dropped. You know that sound? That panic in someone's voice? Yeah, it hit me in my chest. A small crowd had formed around a man lying on the sidewalk. He looked pale, like really pale, and he wasn't moving. People were just standing there. Some had their phones out, recording. Others were frozen. No one was doing anything. And I don't know what came over me, but I dropped my coffee and ran toward him. My hands were shaking. I'd taken a CPR class like 2 years ago. I wasn't even sure if I remembered it right, but I got down on my knees and started chest compressions. I counted out loud just like they taught us. 1, 2, 3. His face was still. I felt sweat running down my back. I kept going. People were whispering, filming, watching, but I just kept pushing. Then he gasped. Just a little at first, then again, stronger. His chest rose and I almost cried right there. Sirens wailed in the distance, and the ambulance pulled up just as he started breathing on his own. The paramedics took over. One of them nodded at me and said, "You probably saved his life." I didn't say anything. I just stood up, brushed off my knees, and walked away. I didn't even know his name. 3 days passed. I had almost forgotten about it. Life didn't pause just because I gave CPR to some stranger. I still had bills to pay and 2 shifts back to back. Honestly, I didn't even tell anyone. It felt too surreal, and besides, who was I gonna tell that would even care? I was behind the counter at the bookstore where I worked part-time. It was a slow afternoon, barely anyone in the store. I was restocking journals when I heard the door chime. I glanced up and saw a tall man walk in, dark suit, clean shoes, calm energy. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. Then he smiled, and I froze. It was him, the man from the sidewalk. He walked over slowly, almost unsure. "Hi," he said, with this gentle voice. "I think I owe you my life." I didn't know what to say. My mouth opened, then closed. "Are you okay?" was all I managed to get out. He laughed softly, then nodded. "Thanks to you." He said his name was Daniel. Told me the doctor said if someone hadn't jumped in when they did, he might not be here. He asked if he could take me out to dinner, just to say thank you. I told him I wasn't looking for anything, that I didn't need a reward, but he wasn't pushy. He smiled again and said, "Just one meal. No strings. You saved my life. Least I can do is buy you a burger." I agreed, not because of the compliment or because he was handsome, but because something about him felt safe. I didn't know then, but that simple yes would change my entire world. After that dinner, I figured that was it. One meal, one thank you, and he'd disappear back into his own world, wherever that was. But the next week, he came back, not with roses or anything dramatic, just coffee. Said he remembered how I liked it. 2 sugars, no cream. He sat at one of the little chairs in the bookstore and waited while I worked. Just sat there reading like he had all the time in the world. I tried to act normal, like my heart wasn't doing little backflips every time he smiled at me. He made me laugh so easily, and it wasn't the kind of fake flirting I'd had from other guys. He was calm, kind, curious. Over the next few weeks, it became a thing. He'd stop by. Sometimes we'd grab lunch. Sometimes we'd just talk. About books, about music, about life. I learned he lost his mom when he was young. I told him how I used to write poems as a kid. He said I should still write. No one had ever said that to me before. And still, no big clues about his lifestyle. He dressed simple, drove a plain black car, didn't throw money around or name drop people. So I figured maybe he's just a regular guy who had a scary moment and now wants to feel more alive. But something in me was changing. I found myself looking forward to seeing him, smiling when I saw his name pop up on my phone. I hadn't let anyone get close in a long time, but with him, it felt different. Still, I had no idea who I was really talking to. No idea how far from regular he really was. That part was coming, and I wasn't ready. It all came crashing down one Saturday afternoon. I had just finished my shift and was waiting outside for Daniel to pick me up. We had plans to grab tacos from this food truck I loved. I saw his car pull up, but something was different, way different. It wasn't the usual black sedan. This time, it was a sleek silver car that looked like it belonged in a movie, like the kind you don't even touch in a showroom. I was still staring at it when 2 guys with cameras came out of nowhere, snapping photos. One of them even shouted, "Daniel, who's the girl?" I froze. He stepped out of the car, waved them off calmly, and walked straight to me. I whispered, "What is happening?" He just looked at me and said, "I was going to tell you." I didn't understand. Tell me what? That night, I went home and Googled him. His full name popped up in headlines. He was the founder of some tech company. I won't name it here, but let's just say his net worth had more zeros than I could even imagine. Forbes had written about him. They called him the quiet billionaire. I felt sick. I thought I knew him. I thought he was just some regular guy trying to be kind. And now, I couldn't help but feel like the joke was on me. Why didn't he tell me? Why hide it? I didn't text him back for days. I couldn't. All I kept thinking was, I'm just a bookstore girl. I take the bus. I buy clothes on clearance. What could someone like him possibly want with someone like me? I finally agreed to meet him after a few days. My heart was heavy, and my head was full of questions. We sat at the same little bench where we'd shared coffee just a week before, but this time it felt different. I didn't even know where to start. Before I could speak, he handed me a small envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter, not an email, not a fancy card, just a folded piece of paper, his words, in ink, and I'll never forget what it said. He wrote, "You didn't know who I was. You didn't care. You just saw someone who needed help. Everyone else watched, but you moved. That moment, it changed everything for me." He said he hadn't told me about his money because he didn't want it to matter. He was tired of being seen as a wallet, not a man. He said the peace he felt sitting across from me in that bookstore was more valuable than any $1 million deal. He told me he felt seen for the first time in years, and it hit me. I'd been so busy feeling less than because of his status that I forgot what I brought to the table. I forgot that kindness, realness, honesty, those things matter, and I didn't save him for clout. I saved him because that's who I am. I looked at him, and for the first time, I saw him not as the billionaire, but as Daniel, the man whose eyes held gratitude, the man who remembered my favorite donut flavor, the man who made me feel like I belonged. He reached for my hand and said softly, "You're the only one who didn't want anything from me, except my heart." Even after everything he said, I still struggled. Not because I didn't like him. I did. God, I did. But because I didn't know how to fit in his world. His life was private jets, charity galas, and $1 million meetings. Mine was clocking in, clocking out, and stretching my last $20 till payday. I started pulling back a little, not on purpose, but in small ways, canceling dinner plans, taking longer to reply to his messages. I was scared, not of him, but of being me next to him. I kept thinking, what if his friends look down on me? What if his family thinks I'm after his money? I even stood in front of my mirror one night and just stared at myself. I saw my flaws, my stretch marks, my tired eyes after a double shift, and I wondered, will I ever be enough for someone like Daniel? Then I remembered something my grandma once told me when I was younger. She said, "Baby, when love comes real and true, it don't care about how much is in your bank. It sees your soul first." So I asked myself, did Daniel ever make me feel small? Number, did he ever treat me like I was less than? Not once. In fact, he always made me feel seen, important, like I mattered. I realized this wasn't about him. This was about me learning how to love myself enough to receive the kind of love I've been giving everyone else for free. And in that moment, I made a choice. I wouldn't let fear ruin something that felt this real. It was time to stop doubting, time to stop hiding. I was ready to see where this love could go. I texted him, just 3 words. "Can we talk?" He responded almost instantly, like he'd been waiting. We met at the little lake near my apartment, the one with the old bench and ducks that always come too close. I wore my favorite hoodie, not because I was trying to impress him, but because I needed to feel like me. When he saw me, he stood up fast, like he was surprised I actually came. There was this nervous energy between us, like we were both holding our breath. I didn't drag it out. I just said, "I've been scared, not of you, but of what loving you might mean, of losing myself, of not being enough." He didn't say anything for a moment, just looked at me with these soft, honest eyes and said, "I've never needed you to be anything but exactly who you are." Then, without thinking too hard, I reached for his hand. I let it stay there, warm, steady. I looked at him and said, "Okay, that's it. Just okay." But it meant everything. Okay to trying. Okay to the unknown. Okay to the possibility that maybe I could be loved in the way I always hoped for. He smiled, the kind that reaches all the way to your soul. And then he kissed me, not like a movie scene or some big romantic gesture. It was soft, careful, like he was still asking permission even after I said yes. And in that moment, I felt it peace, belonging, like maybe, just maybe, I had found a kind of love that didn't need fixing, proving, or pretending, just real. Life didn't suddenly turn into some fairy tale. There were no red carpets or diamond studded vacations. Well, okay, there was one trip to Italy, but even then, I wore sneakers and packed hot sauce in my purse. But here's the thing, our life isn't about the money. It never was. It's the way he holds my hand when we're walking down the street, even if no one's watching. It's the way he listens, really listens, when I talk about my dreams, even the small ones, like opening my own little bookstore cafe someday. He says, let's make it happen. And I know he means it. It's Sunday mornings in his kitchen, dancing in mismatched pajamas to 90s R&B. It's the way he lets me wear his hoodies and never asks for them back. It's the quiet moments when we're not talking, not doing anything, just existing in the same space. And that feels like enough. People still ask how we met. Sometimes I say CPR. Other times I say divine timing. The truth is, I stopped asking why someone like him would choose someone like me. Because he didn't fall in love with my job or my clothes or my bank account. He fell in love with me, the girl who gave CPR to a stranger and walked away without asking for anything. The girl who believed in love, even when life gave her 100 reasons not to. We're building something real. No fairy dust. Just love, laughter, and showing up for each other. Every single day. And sometimes I still catch myself staring at him like, how is this my life? But then I remember, love doesn't always knock. Sometimes it just collapses right in front of you. And all you have to do is breathe it back to life. So, yeah. I'm just a black woman who gave CPR to a stranger. I didn't do it for attention. I didn't do it thinking I'd find love. I just did what I hoped someone would do for me or my brother or my mom if it came down to it. I didn't know that one act of kindness would open the door to something I never thought was for me. Not because I didn't deserve it, but because I was too used to being overlooked, too used to giving and not getting much back. But now I know better. I know that love doesn't care how much money you have. It cares how you make someone feel. It cares how you show up when no one's clapping. And most of all, it cares about who you are when no one's watching. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt invisible, like your story doesn't matter, like maybe love just isn't in the cards for you, please hear me. You are worthy. You are enough. And the love that's meant for you, it won't miss you. It might show up looking nothing like what you expected, but when it does, let it in. You don't have to be rich to be loved. You don't have to be perfect to be chosen. You just have to be you, because someone out there is praying for a heart like yours. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to believe in love again. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. What's one moment of kindness that changed your life? This was my story, and who knows, maybe yours is just beginning. Love.